November 20th, 1969. The Apollo 12 mission is concluding. But before the astronauts leave our celestial neighbor, they perform one final, secret experiment. NASA commands the discarded lunar module, the Intrepid, to crash deliberately onto the surface of the moon. They wanted to test the seismic equipment they had left behind. They expected a small thud, a minor tremor that would dissipate in minutes. A typical reaction for a solid planetary body. But that is not what happened. When the module hit the surface with the force of 1 ton of TNT, the shock waves didn't stop. They built up. They resonated. For nearly 1 hour, the moon vibrated. Maurice Ewing, a co-director of the seismic experiment, was stunned. He told the press later that day. It was as if someone had struck a bell, say in the belfry of a church, a single blow, and found that the reverberation from it continued for 30 minutes. Planets do not ring like bells. Rocks do not reverberate like hollow spheres. Only one type of object behaves this way physically: a hollow, metallic structure. We have been taught since childhood that the moon is a natural satellite, a happy accident of cosmic debris. But what if that is the greatest lie in human history? What if the object orbiting our planet is not a rock, but a station? Welcome to the forbidden history of the moon.
Isaac Asimov, one of the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century, once said, "The moon is too big to have been captured by the Earth. The chances of such a capture having been effected and the moon then having taken up nearly circular orbit around our Earth are too small to make such an eventuality credible." He was talking about the math, and the math is terrifyingly perfect. Consider the solar eclipse. It is the most spectacular coincidence in the known universe. The moon is exactly 400 times smaller than the sun, and yet it is positioned exactly 400 times closer to Earth than the sun. Because of this impossible double coincidence, when they align, the moon covers the sun precisely, down to the millimeter, revealing the solar corona. Astronomers admit there is no reason for this to happen. It serves no gravitational purpose. It is a 1 in a billion roll of the cosmic dice. Or it is evidence of calibration. If you were an advanced architect building a surveillance station, wouldn't you place it in the exact geometric position to signal your presence to the intelligent life evolving below? But the strangeness doesn't end with geometry. It extends to the very rotation of the satellite itself. We only ever see one face of the moon. It is tidally locked to Earth. This means its rotation is perfectly synchronized with its orbit. It rotates on its axis at the exact same speed it travels around the Earth. This provides a permanent dark side, a hemisphere that never faces humanity, a perfect place to operate unseen, a perfect place to park or to hide.
Let's look at the surface. The moon has been bombarded for billions of years by asteroids, comets, and meteors. It is a scarred wasteland. But look closely at the craters. When a massive asteroid hits a rocky planet like Earth, it digs deep. It creates a hole proportional to the impact. But on the moon, we see craters that are hundreds of miles wide, yet strangely shallow. The Bailey crater is over 180 miles across. By all laws of physics, it should be dozens of miles deep, yet it is barely a scratch on the surface. The floor is flat. How is this possible? Russian scientists Michael Vasin and Alexander Sherbakov proposed a theory in the 1970s that shocked the Soviet Academy of Science. They suggested that the moon's crust is not rock, but a protective skin. They theorized that beneath the lunar dust, the regolith, lies a hardened metallic shell, possibly 20 miles thick, designed to withstand any impact. When an asteroid hits, it doesn't penetrate, it smashes against the hull and explodes outward. Is there evidence for this metal?
When Apollo astronauts brought back moon rocks, they found something that baffled geologists. The crust is rich in titanium. In some samples, the titanium content was 10 times higher than the richest titanium-bearing rocks on Earth. Titanium is the metal of choice for building supersonic jets, submarines, and spacecraft hulls. It is light, incredibly strong, and heat-resistant. Even stranger, they found traces of processed metals like brass, mica, and uranium-236 and neptunium-237, radioactive isotopes that do not occur naturally. They are the byproducts of nuclear reactors. Why is the moon covered in the scraps of advanced industrial manufacturing? Maybe because it was manufactured. If the moon is an artificial object, it must have arrived at a specific point in time. This implies that there was a time before the moon. Science tells us the moon has been here for 4.5 billion years, but human memory tells a different story. In the ancient libraries of Alexandria, the scribes wrote of a tribe of people living in the highlands of Arcadia, Greece. They were called the Prosellenes. Translated from Greek, Prosellenes literally means those who were before the moon. Aristotle wrote about them. Plutarch wrote about them. They claimed their ancestors lived on Earth when the night sky was empty, dark and star-filled, with no white orb to light the way. Across the ocean, in the oral traditions of the Zulu people of South Africa, the shaman Credo Mutwa tells a terrifying legend. He says the moon was not always here. He calls it the Great Egg. He says it was brought here hundreds of generations ago by two brothers, Wowane and Impunku, leaders of the Chitauri, a reptilian race from the stars. The legend says they rolled the moon across the sky and stole the Earth, causing massive cataclysms. The arrival of the moon changed the Earth's rotation, altered the tides, and, according to the legend, stripped humanity of its original powers. Is it a coincidence that cultures separated by oceans and thousands of years both remember a time when the moon did not exist? If it is artificial, if it was brought here, the final, most chilling question remains: why? Why go to the trouble of parking a massive armored satellite around a small blue planet? There are two theories. Theory 1, the Ark. The moon is a lifeboat, an ancient generational ship that carried the remnants of a dying civilization to our solar system. They parked it in orbit, and perhaps they are still inside, hibernating in the hollow core, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Theory 2, the prison guard. David Icke and other researchers have suggested that the moon acts as a frequency broadcaster. It emits a signal that interacts with the Earth's magnetic field, and more importantly, with the human biofield. We know the moon affects the tides. We know it affects the reproductive cycles of marine life. Police stations and hospitals report higher crime and chaos during full moons. If it can pull the oceans, can it pull on our consciousness? Some esoteric traditions suggest the moon is a soul trap, a recycling center that keeps human consciousness trapped in a loop of reincarnation on Earth, blocking us from transcending to higher dimensions. It is the eye in the sky, keeping the livestock, us, within the fence. This brings us back to NASA. Why did we stop going? We had the technology in 1969. We planned bases. We planned colonization. And then suddenly, after Apollo 17 in 1972, we stopped. We never went back. Did we find nothing? Or were we told to stay away? Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, was notoriously reclusive.
But it is rumored that during the media blackout on Apollo 11, he transmitted a message to Mission Control. These babies are huge, sir. Enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out there, lined up on the far side of the crater edge. They're on the moon watching us.
The moon hangs above us every night, a silent silver witness to our history. We write poems about it. We fall in love under its light. We planted a flag on its skin, but we never scratched beneath the surface. The seismic data from Apollo 12 is still there. The titanium rocks are still in the labs. The ancient stories are still in the archives. They all point to a truth that is too big, too frightening for us to accept. That we are not alone. That we have never been alone. And that the biggest alien artifact in the solar system isn't flying through deep space, it's orbiting right outside your window. What do you think? Is the moon a natural satellite, or is it an ancient station watching our every move? If you want us to dive deeper into the structures found on the dark side of the moon in part 2, hit that like button and subscribe. Until then, keep looking up.